All right, this is the overview of the book of Matthew. Matthew has 28 chapters. Now, you'll want to find the book of Matthew, and you'll probably want to write down at least the first 12 chapters. The 13th chapter, if you want to write that, the 13th chapter is the parables. But the first chapter is going to deal with the genealogy. The second chapter is going to deal with his birth. The third chapter is going to deal with his herald. The fourth chapter deals with his testing. 5, 6, 7 deals with the constitution. 8 and 9 deal with his credentials. And chapter 10 deals with the message of the kingdom. And chapter 11 deals with his rejection. 12, the unpardonable sin. You'll want to listen when we get to there. A lot of people think the unpardonable sin is one thing, but it's actually something else. And then 13 is the parables, and then from there we'll go from on further. Now, one thing you need to remember: the book of Matthew is a transition book. That means Matthew carries you from Old Testament to New Testament. Like the book of Acts will carry you from law to grace. The book of Hebrews is a transitional book from grace back to law, or tribulation, and things of that nature. So Matthew is a transitional book. It's sort of like the book of Acts, and you can get into trouble in the book of Matthew if you don't know how to rightly divide. Matthew presents Jesus Christ as King. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You got 4 Gospels, 4 accounts of the first coming of Christ. In the book of Revelation, you have 4 accounts, all in the same book, 4 accounts of the second coming of Christ. Matthew presents him as King. You'll notice in verse 1 of Matthew 1, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Notice it says son of David first. Well, son of Abraham is older, but it mentions David first. Why? It's because Matthew is going to present him as king. A lot of different things in the book of Matthew that we're going to go over, and we're going to try to get it all done. If you'll notice in Matthew 1:1, the book of the generation, singular. Generation is singular. And I'm going to talk fast. So you'll have to either write fast or get the CD or DVD. I've got to get this done tonight. And so I apologize if we go a little fast. Genesis chapter 5 deals with the generations, plural, of Adam. Generations, plural of Adam, more than one. But the generation, singular, of Jesus Christ is only one. So the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15:22, for as in Adam all died. Genesis 5. So-and-so lived how many years? Died. So-and-so lived so-and-so years, and he died. And he died. And he died. Genesis 5. There's no recorded death in Matthew 1, because these are the generation singular of Jesus Christ. If you stay in Adam, you will die. If you get into Jesus Christ, it's one generation, and his generation will live forever. It is eternal. And it's an amazing thing. Now, look at a couple of other things. In the book of Matthew, the first human name in the New Testament is David. Verse 1 of chapter 1, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David. That's the first human name in the New Testament. Well, if you were to go to Revelation 22, does anybody know who King David is a type of? King David is a type of Jesus Christ. Revelation 22:16, and it says, the last part, I am the root and offspring of David and the bright morning star. David is the first human name in the New Testament. David is the last human name in the Old Testament. He's a picture, the type of Jesus Christ. Jesus is the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega. King David is the first human name, the last human name. Something else you may want to think of. The first woman mentioned in the New Testament. The first woman mentioned in the New Testament is a woman by the name of Tamar. Tamar was a woman who played the harlot. She was, she's mentioned here in chapter 1. I forgot what verse, verse 3. And the last woman mentioned in the book of Revelation is the bride of Christ. You say, why are we referred to as a woman who played the harlot? Hey, that's where we were. We were cheating on God. We were committing spiritual fornication. And God brought us back, loved us, and now we became His bride. And it's a picture of the bride of the church, of Jesus Christ. Now, there's two genealogies. Matthew has one genealogy. Luke has another genealogy. Here it is. I almost ran out of room, but I started with Jesse. Jesse was King David's dad. David had more sons than this, but here's the two main. He had King Solomon and a boy by the name of Nathan. King Solomon was by Bathsheba, and that is the Matthew line. You'll get Matthew line over here. Why? Here's your kingly line. There's your kingly line. It presents him as king. Through Matthew, King Solomon, all the way down to Joseph, which is Jesus' earthly, or not, his, what would you call it, foster dad or whatever. Then here is the Luke side. Luke carries you through the generation of Jesus Christ by way of Mary through Nathan. And it is his human side through Luke. Your kingly line is through Matthew. That's why you'll have the names mentioned there. Everything is the same in Matthew and Luke until you get to David. And David, the thing splits. And Matthew goes from Solomon on down, and Luke goes Nathan on down. I'm going to show you real quick. Look at Matthew, chapter 1, verse 6. And Jesse begat David the king, and David the king begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. And Solomon begat Rehoboam, and so on and so forth. Look at Luke 3. Luke 3. And about verse, 31. And this is going the opposite direction. Verse 31. Luke 3. Which was the son of Eliab, which was the son of Menon, which was the son of Mattitha, which was the son of Nathan, which was the son of David, which was the son of Jesse, which was the son of Obed, and Boaz, Salmon, Nason, and so on and so forth. So there's the split. One side carries you down through Mary, one side carries you down all the way to Joseph. Matthew deals with him as king. And that's one thing you need to remember. Now, introduction, here we go. We know, because we have the whole Bible, we know that time has been laid out like this top line. The birth, we know about the cross, we know about the rapture of the church, we know about the second coming, and we know about the 1,000-year millennial kingdom. That's what we know. Matthew, when he's writing Matthew, he has no idea of a cross. He don't know about a rapture. He don't know anything about none of this. The bottom line, and this is going to be important, the bottom line is how we're going to view this thing when we start. When you come out of the Old Testament says a king is coming to town. That's why the whole Christmas thing's all, everybody says Santa Claus is coming to town. No, friend, the king is coming to town. The whole Old Testament. The Messiah is coming. Y'all need to be looking for him. You need to be looking for him. Well, he's got some things he's got to prove. I mean, you just can't show up and say, hey, I'm the Messiah. So, chapter 1 deals with his genealogy. He proves he can be the king by his genealogy. There it is in Matthew 1. There is my family tree right there. Then you go over to chapter 2. The Messiah has to have the proper genealogy. So Matthew writes chapter 1 to take care and prove that Jesus Christ has the right genealogy. He goes back to King David. He's an heir to the throne. Chapter 2 deals with, okay, he's got to be virgin born. Isaiah 7:14 says that prophet Isaiah, Old Testament prophet Isaiah said he had to be virgin born. Well, that's why you got Matthew chapter 2, to prove he was virgin born. That he was from the tribe of Judah. That he was virgin born. Look at Matthew 2. Born in Bethlehem. Did you realize born in Bethlehem? That was recorded in Micah, Old Testament Micah chapter 5, verse number 2. 700, let's see if I wrote it. Yeah, 700 years before Christ was born, Micah wrote it down. You say, what's the difference in the Bible and the Quran? The Quran is nowhere near that. The Quran has never made a prophecy that has come true. Micah 5:2, 700 years before Jesus is born in Bethlehem, Micah writes it down in Micah 5:2. It says, he's fixed to be born in Bethlehem. And in Matthew 2, lo and behold, it happens. Amen. Matthew 1, the Old Testament says he's going to be from the tribe of Judah. Matthew 1, boom. Took care of that. We proved it. Chapter 2, he's going to be virgin born. Boom. We got chapter 2 right there. I do want to make mention of this. We just come out of Christmas a little bit ago, and the wise men come seeking. Oh, look at chapter 2, verse 2. Wise men came from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born, King of the Jews? You ever thought about this? The first question in the Old Testament. The first question in the Old Testament. God came looking for man and said, Adam, where art thou? The first question in the New Testament, man came looking for God. Hallelujah, I just felt something. Old Testament, God came looking and said, Adam, where art thou? Not that he didn't know where he was at. He wanted Adam to know where he was at. But the first question in the New Testament, the wise men, how many are the word? Don't know. Could have been 42 of them. It don't say how many. A lot of stuff we do that's not in the Bible. It don't say 3. It could have been 19. But it says wise men came from the east and they were asking, where is the King of the Jews? Why? Why do you say King of the Jews? Because the Old Testament says somebody's coming. And we done researched his genealogy. We done heard about his virgin birth. And we done got on our camels and we're coming to find out if this is him. Where is he? And then by the time the wise men get to Jesus, he's 2 years old. They didn't make it to the manger. So I don't believe that. Well, you have to look at verse 11. You have to just look at your Bible. And when they were coming to the house, not a stable, not a manger, no hay. They come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary's mother and fell down and worshipped who? They didn't worship Mary, they worshipped him. And when they opened their treasures, they presented to him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That's prophet, priest, and king. The 3 offices that Jesus is going to hold. Being warned of God in a dream, they departed into their own country another way. Wise men still seek him. All right? Is he going to be king? Well, let's see. His genealogy says he can. Chapter 1. Chapter 2, virgin birth. All right? He's got that clear. Chapter number 3. Well, guess what? Chapter number 3 starts his earthly ministry. John the Baptist comes on the scene saying, repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Got news for you. John the Baptist did not know anything about you. Didn't know anything about me. Didn't know anything about the church. Didn't know anything about the rapture. He didn't see this. He's seeing this. John the Baptist saying, he's born in Bethlehem. Okay, let's see. Genealogy. He's tribe of Judah. All right. Hey, this is him. Repent. For what? Man, this thing right here is at hand. What does it mean at hand? Right there within reach. Man, this is close. Well, then if he's him, then some things have got to happen. Well, John's out there baptizing. He sees Jesus coming. He says, behold the Lamb of God that taketh away the sin of the world. And look at verse, 13. Then cometh Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and comest thou to me? Jesus answering said unto him, suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. And then he suffered it. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water. Notice he wasn't sprinkled, he was come out of the water. You see, the Bible it straightens out a lot of stuff. And lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove. A dove didn't show up and land on Jesus' shoulder. It says the Spirit came down like a dove. If I jumped off this building and jumped off, y'all would say, Brother Jeremy fell like a rock. That don't mean I turned into a rock on the way down. Like a dove don't mean a dove come down. It means like a dove. And lightened upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. I'm in a hurry, but I need to tell you this. You ever wondered why Jesus was baptized? Was Jesus baptized to give us an example? Was Jesus baptized to wash his sins away? Well, number one, he didn't have any sins to wash away. If Jesus is going to be the king, and he's genealogy, tribe of Judah, virgin born, guess what? He's going to be our high priest. Guess what? He's got to fulfill, let me look, Exodus chapter 40, I believe. Let me look and see. Exodus 40. Get over there close. I know it's Exodus something. Now you need to watch this one, if you can. Look at it. Exodus 40. Oh, let's see. Let's see this. All right, go to Exodus 29. Exodus 29. It's in Exodus 42, but Exodus 29. This is the easy one to see. You want to know why Jesus was baptized? Now, some of you have seen it, so endure us for a second. Exodus 29. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them, to hallow them, and to minister unto me in the what? Priest office. Take one young bullock, 2 rams without blemish, so on and so forth. Look at verse 4 for time's sake. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall what? Wash them with what? All right, if Jesus is going to be the high priest in the priest office, he was our high priest, or he is our high priest now, he has to be washed with water. That's why Jesus was baptized. He wasn't baptized to give us an example. He wasn't baptized to wash his sins away. He wasn't baptized to show a picture of the death, burial, and the resurrection, because the death, burial, and resurrection hadn't happened yet. Jesus was baptized to be washed with water so he could fulfill the high priest office. Look at verse 7. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil and pour it upon his head and anoint him. Y'all remember somebody that came in and anointed Jesus before he died? Yeah. You wonder why she did that? Oh, she was just trying to be nice. Well, she probably was. She was fulfilling the scripture and she didn't even know it. He had to be washed with water, baptized with John. He had to be anointed with oil. This woman come in, anointed with oil. Why? So he could fulfill the high priest office. So, chapter 3, we got that taken care of. Tribe of Judah, virgin born, he's been washed with water, he's been anointed with oil. All right, guess what? Chapter 4. Well, think about this. Chapter 4. Do you realize in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4, it says this, 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says, the God of this world, small G-O-D, the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them, lest they believe the glorious gospel and the light should shine unto them. You know what that's talking about? That's talking about the devil. The devil is the God of this world. Right. Small G-O-D. Well, Jesus came from heaven and invaded this world that belonged to somebody else. And so Satan says, I'm going to get rid of him. Yeah. And so what? Chapter 4 is in the Bible. Boom. I wonder if Satan can whoop him. Well, let's see. If he's the Messiah, Satan won't be able to whoop him. If he's not the Messiah, Satan will whip him. Now, you think about this. I just find stuff funny about it. I don't know why. But you think about this. If a guy wants to fight you, and the guy says, I tell you what I'm going to do. To make this fair, I'm not going to eat for 40 days or 40 nights. Just to make this fair. You better not fight that guy. He's one tough dude. If he cannot eat 40 days, 40 nights, and then still whoop you, you better not mess with him. And so Jesus said, just to make this thing fair, I'm not even going to eat for 40 days or 40 nights. Just to make it fair. Man, now, you write this down. 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. This is how the devil does. Matter of fact, I'll write it up here. 1 John, what did I say? 2:16. You know what 2:16 says? When the devil tempts you, whether he tempts Jesus, whether he tempts Eve in the garden, it's going to be 3 ways. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. That's what 1 John 2:16 says. Well, guess what? He did Eve that way in the Garden of Eden. The lust of the eyes, she saw the fruit that it was good for food. The lust of the flesh, she took it and it was good for food. The pride of life, she wanted to be as God. Yeah. Boom, he got it. Well, the devil's fixing to do Jesus the same way. And he'll get you one of those 3 ways. Or all 3. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, or the pride of life. And so, I think the first one he says, talking about making these stones and turn them to bread. That's the lust of the flesh. He's starving to death. He ain't eating 40 days, 40 nights. He's to turn these stones into bread. That's the lust of the flesh. Jesus said, it's written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And so on and so forth. Then he said, take you to a pinnacle and cast yourself down. Or so on and so forth. Jump off this pinnacle. That's the pride of life. And then he takes him up there and shows him all the kingdoms of the world. Shows him all the kingdoms of the world. That's the lust of the eyes. And this is what Jesus does. It is written. It is written. It is written. Punches him 3 times, knocks him out. Right? 1 round. It's over. Ain't that good? I mean, and that's the way Jesus does it. All right? So, he's passed the test. He's got the right genealogy. He's of the tribe of Judah. He's been virgin born. He's been washed with water. He's been anointed with oil. Pride of life, lust of flesh, lust of eyes, pride of life. He's passed. And he must be the Messiah. Well, look, if you're going to have a kingdom, guess what? You've got to have some cabinet members. Anybody's running for office, you've got to have some cabinet members. So guess what in chapter 4? Look, verse number 18, he calls 12 disciples. If you're going to set up a kingdom, you're going to have some cabinet members. Now he's got 12 of them. Look at verse 23. Matthew 4:23. Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the what? Y'all see that? Gospel of the kingdom. What's the gospel of the kingdom? Watch. All healing and all manner of sickness and all manner of diseases among the people. That's connected to the gospel of the kingdom. Okay. He's got cabinet members. He's passed the test. He's got cabinet members. Okay. Now, a politician. I'm not saying Jesus is a politician. What I'm saying is he's trying to prove he's the Messiah. He's ready for the throne. He's proved it by his genealogy, his virgin birth, his herald. Now he's been tested. Now that he passed all of that, now he's getting him 12 cabinet members. And now guess what he's got to have? He's got to have a platform. This is what I'm for. This is what I'm against. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm not going to do. That's Matthew 5, 6, and 7. You know what that's called? That's called the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount is the constitution of the kingdom. 5, 6, and 7. Now, we heard preaching today on the Sermon on the Mount. That's fine. Good. Sunday morning preaching. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the so and so, whatever. Doctrinally speaking, it don't have anything to do with church. That Beatitudes, the Constitution, the 5, 6, and 7, the Sermon on the Mount has to do with what God's going to do and what He's for, what He's against, what He's going to do, what He's not going to do. He's got his cabinet members. Now He's got a constitution. Well, America's got a constitution. Now we don't follow it, but we got one.
Right? Yeah.
And I mean, if you're going to have a kingdom, you've got to have. Here's my constitution. Well, there's your constitution. 5, 6, 7. When they get out in the kingdom later on in the millennium, everybody's going to go chapter 5, 6, and 7. That's what you're going to go by. That's the constitution. Now, all right. Okay. If you got a constitution, you got cabinet members, you've been approved by your all that, this, that, and the other. Now you've got to have credentials. If He's the Messiah, then He's going to have to heal some people, raise people from the dead, so on and so forth. Well, guess what you got? Chapters 8 and 9. Look at chapter 8. I'm hurrying. How much time? Oh, man, I'm doing good. Chapter 8, 1 through 4, He heals a leper. 5 through 13 of chapter 8, He heals the centurion servant. Verses 14 through 18 of chapter 8, He heals Peter's mother-in-law, a low place in His ministry. Some of you are a little slow, but it's all right. Has anybody ever wondered why Peter denied the Lord 3 times? That was to pay him back for healing his mother-in-law. But anyway, it's a joke. My wife has a good mother-in-law. All right. Chapter 8, 23 through 27. He steals the waves. Chapter 8, verse 28 through 34. Cast out the demons. Chapter 9, verse 1. He heals the palsy man. Man of the palsy. Chapter 9, 27, and so on and so forth. 2 blind men. Chapter 9, verse 35. I mean, these are His credentials. Now, you say, well, why did He heal the centurion man? Why did He heal the leper? Why did He heal this? Listen, Jesus could have just snapped His fingers and healed everybody in the whole world. The purpose was not just to heal everybody in the whole world. The purpose was to prove to the nation of Israel, I am He that Isaiah and all the Old Testament prophets is talking about here. Let me prove it to you. And He heals the leper.
Right.
It wasn't a matter of Him wanting to. People said, well, why didn't He just heal everybody? His purpose was not just to heal everybody. His purpose was to prove He's the Messiah. He's the King. So the reason He heals the leper, the reason, and Jesus heals all these people. He don't ask for no check. He don't ask for their pension. He don't ask for any money to be sent. He don't ask them to sow a seed.
Amen. Yeah.
I mean, when are we going to get back to the Bible?
Right.
And so He's proving to the world, I'm the King. Here's my credentials. I just healed the blind man. I just healed blind Bartimaeus. I just healed the 2 lepers. I just healed this fella. I just raised Peter's mother-in-law, helped her out. I just done it. There's His credentials. Look at verse 35, chapter 9, verse 35. And Jesus went all about the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. When He saw the multitudes, He was moved with compassion, so on and so forth. Now, then, okay, where are we at? Chapter 10? All right, here's the message. We done proved I'm the Messiah, I'm the King, I done proved all of this. I got the right genealogy, virgin born, been tested by Satan. I got my 12 cabinet members. I got a constitution. I've done proved by healing everybody that I am He. Now, here's my message. Verse 10, or chapter 10. Notice what He said. You ever wondered why this is in the Bible? Look at verse 5. Chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the what? And into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. You ever wondered why that's in the Bible? Because the message of the kingdom, now get this, here's where it's confusing in Matthew. You ever wondered why that right there says, don't go to the Gentiles? Hey, that's us.
Yeah.
You mean we don't get in? No, not right now you don't, because why? In chapter 10, the message of the kingdom is here. So, if I'm your king and I'm your Messiah, we can't set up a kingdom with a bunch of Gentiles. So don't even go knock on their door. Don't even go to the Samaritans. You go to Jews only.
Right.
Because we're trying to set up a Jewish kingdom. So don't waste your time going to a Gentile's door, knocking on his door, and to a Samaritan. You go to Jews only. Because we're trying to set up a kingdom. There's my message. Chapter 10. And then, let's see. Here's something. Look at what Jesus, Jesus. All right, this is what, all right. Let me finish reading. I got to settle down here. Verse 6, chapter 10. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of who? And as you go, preach, saying, what?
The kingdom.
Kingdom of heaven is at hand. See, this ain't in view yet. Here's where we get in. That ain't in view yet. So hang on. You're going to get in. Don't worry about it. But right now, He's trying to set up one of these, a kingdom. And until they reject it, don't go to the Gentiles. Don't go to the Samaritans. When you go, you preach. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. I done proved all these things. We're closer to. We're close. This thing is right there. Then, chapter 11. Chapter 11. Jesus says, now watch it. Get this and get it good. And you're fixing it. If you don't love this, I don't know what to do. Chapter 11. Jesus goes to the the bigwigs, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and all of them. And he says, okay, I done proved myself. I done proved I'm of the tribe of Judah. I done proved I'm virgin born. I've been baptized with John. I done defeated Satan. I got my 12 cabinet members. Now I got a constitution. I've healed everybody I've come in contact with. I've presented my message. Now, if you will receive it, look at, let's see. Verse 7. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went ye out in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? And he started talking about his soft raiment and his clothing and all of that stuff. And, let's see. Verse 11. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. Write this down. Write it down. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 5. It's the book right before Matthew. I'm going to read it to you. It's what it said. Malachi 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Okay, stay with me. Don't lose me right here. They're saying, I wonder if he could be the Messiah. Well, is he of the tribe of Judah? Yeah, he's the tribe of Judah. Has he been virgin born? Yeah, they say he's virgin born. Was he baptized with John? Yeah, he's baptized with John. Did he whip Satan in the wilderness? Yeah, he got him. Has he got any cabinet members? Yeah, he's got that. Does he have a constitution? Yeah, he's got that. Has he healed anybody? Yeah, he's got that. Well, he's got to be the Messiah. No, he can't be. I forgot about Malachi 4. It says, Jesus can't be. Because it says in Malachi 4 that somebody's going to show up before the coming of the Messiah. And that person was Elijah. So, that ain't him. Can't be. Because Elijah didn't show up yet.
Yeah.
Watch what he says. Look. Ooh, hallelujah. Verse 14. And if ye will receive it. Receive what? The kingdom. This, John the Baptist. This is who? Which was for to come. I'm verse 14 of chapter 11, Matthew. Do y'all see that? Jesus says, I know what you're thinking. Y'all haven't seen Elijah yet. But if you'll receive the kingdom right now, John the Baptist, that is Elijah. You say, okay, hold the phone. Go to Luke chapter 1. Hang on a minute. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to take the Bible's word for it. Look at Luke 1:17. Oh, you got to hurry. Luke 1. Well, let's look. Luke 1, verse 12. And when Zacharias saw him, that's John the Baptist's dad. Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard. Thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son. Thou shalt call his name John. Thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink, and he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall be turned to the Lord their God, and he shall go before him in the spirit and power of to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready to make ready a people prepared for the Lord.
Amen.
Jesus is like, okay, y'all are all the Pharisees, and hey, right here's the kingdom. If you'll receive it right now. There's John the Baptist. He's coming in the spirit and power of Elijah. And if you'll receive this kingdom right now, I'll march right into Jerusalem. And I'll sit down and we'll set up a kingdom. And we'll rule and reign for 1,000 years. Go back to Matthew. And look at verse 20. Matthew 11:20. Then began he to upbraid the cities wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not. Y'all see that? Israel said, no thank you. We don't want it. You're not the one we're looking for. Now, hang on. Oh, you're fixing to shout now? Woo! You fixing to. Hang on. Chapter 11, they said, no. We're looking for a kingdom, but we're not looking for somebody that they say was born out of wedlock. We're not looking for that.
Right.
Well, look at chapter 12. Hey, I'm just getting excited. Do y'all remember in chapter 10, Jesus told the disciples, don't go to the who? Don't go to them. Don't knock on their door. Chapter 11, he goes, okay, Gentiles, y'all want it? They said, nah. Look at chapter 12. Look at verse 17. That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, behold my servant, whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the... He shall not strive nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break, smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto victory, and in his name shall the... Do what? Oh my goodness. Because chapter 11's in the Bible and they rejected chapter 12, Jesus says, all right, go knock on their door. Stay in your seat, it's okay. 17 through 21. All right. Now, here you go. What time is it now? I got to get, let's see, half of 28 is 14, so let me get 14 chapters, and then we got to have a fast break, all right? Or we'll run over 9 o'clock, so I know you don't want that. Now, chapter 13. Look at, all right, in the fast form. Chapter 13 is the mystery of the kingdom. Now, he's like, okay, the Pharisees, Sadducees, they didn't want it. So, I'm fixing to start speaking in parables now, and they're not going to know what I'm talking about, but you disciples will. And so he starts speaking to them in parables in chapter 13. The parable of the sower, the parable of the wheat and the tares, the parable of the so-and-so. You say, preacher, how you know we know what you're talking about? Okay, look at chapter 13, verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it's given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. They had their chance in chapter 11, and they said they didn't want it. So now, when we talk, we're going to talk in code.
Yeah.
They don't want it. So I'm fixing to talk to y'all in a way that y'all will know what I'm talking about, but they won't.
Amen.
No. The kingdom of heaven is like a sower that went to sow seed in his field. Some fell on stony ground. Some. And the Pharisees over there going, what's he talking about? What's he trying to say? I don't know. I've never heard. I don't know what he's trying to do. Some silly story he's telling. And the disciples over there going, we're getting it.
Yeah.
Right? Right.
Then you got chapter 14. Chapter 14, feeding of the 5,000. Everybody's, man, I mean, you know, it almost looks like Jesus could be king again. But see, in chapter 14, he feeds the 5,000. They only want him for what he can do for them. They don't want him to be their king. They want him to give them something.
Right.
You see. So the feeding of the 5,000 is there. And you got some other things there. I think feeding the 5,000 is what starts chapter 15 or so, or excuse me, verse 15 of chapter 14. Lord, forgive me. And then chapter 15, and I'm going to take a break. Chapter 15, in verse 21 of chapter 15, you got a Syrophoenician woman comes in. She's a Gentile woman. Jesus calls her a dog. We preached a sermon about that, about the crumbs that fell from the master's table. It's a picture of a Gentile woman, a Gentile, the Gentile race, taking its place and receiving blessings from the Jew. And this woman came in, crawled up under the table, and so on and so forth. All right, let's stop, take a break. We'll pick up with chapter 16 here in just a second.